Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and today we got to talk about something that I was not going to cover on this channel, not because I don't think it is hilarious, but because I genuinely, legitimately thought that this was a parody ad for the Kamala Harris campaign, and it turns out it is in fact real.
It's real!
I just said that, Anna. Yes, it's real. Now, we gotta talk about this White Dudes for Harris ad, but before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money, okay?
So White Dudes for Harris raised a bunch of money. Lead organizer Ross Morales Roquetto is here, right? Ross? And I hear that.
So first things first, right off the top, it needs to be said, and that is everybody out there in the audience, all of you, to a T, knew for a fact in your mind's eye what the guy behind White Dudes for Kamala Harris looked like. And yes, it is exactly this person. And one of the funniest things about this individual, about this human being, other than the fact that he exists and he runs an organization, no joke, called White Dudes for Kamala Harris, is the fact that he describes her as this Obama-esque type figure, when in reality, nothing can be further from the truth.
My producer told me you've been working in politics a long time, and that really for more than 20 years, and that you said you hadn't seen anything like this.
I haven't seen anything like this since 2008,
Yep.
when President Obama was elected. And when he got elected, it was about a newness and a hope. This time, it's about an exuberance and an excitement that you only get from hard-fought wins and hard-fought losses and knowing what's at stake. And that's why we're not going back.
Look, I know a lot of people out there in my audience don't like Barack Obama, are not fans of Barack Obama, but let us be 100% clear. Barack Obama is a special candidate. He's a wonderfully gifted orator, and he ran stellar campaign after stellar campaign. This is just undeniable. He overcame Hillary Clinton in the 2008 Democratic primaries. He absolutely smoked John McCain, and let's be clear, he smoked Mitt Romney as well. And this is because he's just a gifted politician. But only in the minds of the Democratic strategists of the DNC can you transplant Barack Obama's charisma, his style, and all of that stuff that got him elected overwhelmingly 2 times to Kamala Harris. She just does not have it. But this guy right here believes that there is the same level of excitement around her, which is insane in every possible way. No one believes that. No one thinks that's real.
This time, it's about an exuberance and an excitement that you only get from hard-fought wins and hard-fought losses and knowing what's at stake. And that's why we're not going back.
Even the most diehard Kamala Harris supporters that you run into online, that all of a sudden, even though they never cared for her as the vice president, are the people that are in your replies saying cope and excitement and joy and all this stuff in response to everything that you post. They will have forgotten about her in a week if she loses the election, and that is after they turn on her within hours of her losing the election, if that proves to be what happens this November. So make no mistake about that, she is nobody's Obama, but this guy seems to genuinely believe that. He is fully integrated with the DNC robot machine, so he is going to release an ad to appeal to all the white guys out there in the audience. And again, I was not going to cover this because I didn't believe it's real.
So I looked it up. It's real, guys! It's real!
But it is, and we gotta play it for you.
Hey, White Dudes. So, I think we're all pretty sick of hearing how much we suck. Every time you go online, it's the same story. We're the problem.
So right off the top, I just want to point out that the music in this, absurd in every possible way. It's like, burn now, and that's going to be running throughout the whole course of this ad. But secondarily, the Democrats are now addressing white people as a group, when remember, they have denied the existence of groups of white people, said it's evil white racist to even assume that that's a legitimate identity, but all of a sudden, it's totally cool once it's for Kamala Harris. And thirdly, he's talking about how online you constantly hear that white people suck and that they're the problem. And the question I would want people who are watching this ad to ask themselves is, who's saying that? Who's advocating for that constantly? It is left-wing progressives. It is Democrats. It is people like Kamala Harris. Remember, her whole entire 2020 Democratic primary campaign was all about being anti-white. White people are racist. And in fact, the DNC, when they were choosing which person would actually be the head of that organization, went on anti-white tirade after anti-white tirade, including this woman saying that it's her job as a white person to shut other white people up.
And my job is to shut other white people down when they want to interrupt. My job is to shut other white people down when they want to say, oh no, I'm not prejudiced. I'm a Democrat. I'm accepting. My job is to make sure that they get that they have privilege, and until we shut our mouths.
So already, and I mean already, you have a scenario where they're talking about how white people are told that they're the problem all the time online and told that they suck all the time online, and this is an advertisement for the Democrats, reminding people that the Democrats hate them based on their race, based on their ethnic origin, and repeat it over and over again. And again, this goes all the way to the top levels of the DNC. Now, Kamala Harris is trying to do this Obama, we don't talk about race kind of thing, but the fact of the matter is, they end up making a fool of Tim Walz as a white person repeatedly throughout the course of the campaign, especially with this stupid he doesn't like spice thing.
I have white guy tacos and
what is
like
that,
black,
like mayonnaise and tuna? What are you doing?
pretty much ground beef and cheese.
That's
and,
okay. Do you put any flavor in it?
No.
Oh.
Here's the deal. No, they said to be careful and let her know this, that black pepper is the top of the spice level in Minnesota, you know?
Now look, I don't speak for all the white people out there in the audience, out there in the American voter booths, or anything like that. If I did, I would run an organization that is definitely called White Dudes for Kamala Harris, because you really know that this guy definitely in touch with the white base like that. But Tim Walz actually won a spicy taco contest, and yet this guy has to embarrass himself, debase himself, humiliate himself in this stupid, unnecessary video just because the Democratic voter base is expecting white people to be completely subservient, weak, and cowardly.
I have white guy tacos and
What is
like
that,
black,
like mayonnaise and tuna? What are you doing?
pretty
What is that,
black.
like mayonnaise and tuna?
So now, all of a sudden, this guy wants to turn it around and do this White Dudes for Kamala campaign, but look at how Kamala treats the white dude that works for her, the second person on her ticket. Look how she treated Joe Biden, forcing him out via a coup, stealing the Democratic nomination from him, and we're all supposed to buy this, just from the start of this, which again, reminds us of how much they hate you as a white person.
And yeah, some white dudes are. Trump and all his MAGA buddies are out there making it worse, shouting nonsense in their stupid red hats and acting like they speak for us when they don't. All they've ever done is screw us over.
So I like that he says, aren't you sick of hearing about how white dudes are the problem? But yeah, some of us definitely are. Trump and his cronies, his MAGA cronies, by the way, they showed some women in there, so they can't even keep it clean with just white guys right there, and their dumb red hats shout nonsense, and it's really annoying. Aren't you annoyed by this, White Dudes for Kamala Harris? Also, we gotta get that music up there. I might start dancing to this. Maybe it's gonna happen. Who knows? Depends on how many likes I get on this video. Maybe I'll make a sequel to their next ad. But gosh, oh my god, the MAGA Republicans ruining it for all of us white guys. This has the energy of that MTV ad that got ratioed into the ground that starts off with maybe the most non-straight white dude I've ever seen in my life saying, "Hello, fellow white dudes."
Hey, fellow white guy.
And again, the crazy thing is, just like that MTV commercial, this is actually not a parody. This is intended to reach white people in the Midwest. Do you feel connected to when they're talking about how, oh my god, white dudes, we're so sick of hearing that Trump's the problem. Also, why does this guy have like almost like a New York kind of dialogue? Maybe it's like a Chicago kind of dialogue. I can't quite place it, but it's such a weird choice of voice for this. I guess it's meant to sound rough and tough, but I do find this to be hilarious. And I also want to point out that when white people become a minority in this country and are considered a voting bloc, this is the future that they have to look forward to, being talked down to like this. You soon are going to be greeted with Kamala Harris's white guy voice, much in the same way that she does the black accent.
Hello to all my
divine nine, brothers and sisters, and my soror. You better thank a union member for the 5-day work week. You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member.
And of course, let us never forget her newest and maybe most offensive accent, the Latina accent.
I love you back. I love you back.
He's legitimately trying to do the Sofia Vergara accent, which, by the way, my wife, who actually is Latina, does sometimes as a joke because it is a very amusing type of accent. And that's what she just dropped on those voters. And yes, that was in front of the League of Hispanic Voters or something like that.
Like they speak for us when they don't. All they've ever done is screw us over. But if you're not on the MAGA train, where do you go? Isn't it just swapping out one crappy option for another? Then it hit me. This isn't about picking teams. It's about who's got a plan that's gonna make life better for me and my family.
But this guy's like, yeah, all these MAGA guys, they done nothing but screw us over as white people. Isn't that horrible? Isn't that terrible? But what do? Do you have to go for MAGA or just no one? There's just one crappy option for the other. But then it hit me. In an election between two candidates, there is another candidate. It's not about picking teams, and I just want to point out that for a second, one of the reasons why I thought this was a parody, they cut to somebody with a pill in their hand.
This isn't about picking teams.
And I thought the solution that they were going to propose, because this was a parody ad, was taking your own life via downing a bunch of pills. That's legitimately where I thought this was going. Again, when I first saw this and I saw White Dudes for Kamala, I thought this was a fake organization, but this is a real organization that is spending $10 million to get this ad out to as many people as possible. But let's hear his pitch for Kamala Harris.
So I've been doing my own research and decided to check out Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
So I love this. You know why? Because these lefties often talk about how you need diverse writers in the room because a white guy can't write for a woman, a white guy can't write for a minority or anything like that. But what you see is the actual results of diverse writers in the room. Why do you think the "I did my own research" line is in here? They believe that that is here because they think that's something that us white folks say when we try to get us onto something about the vaccine or something like that. I'm gonna do my own research and all that, and that line is inserted here to appeal to you because it's like, hey, you know how we hate you when you say you're going to do your own research on anything we tell you is just fact? Well, in this instance, this fictional white person who sounds just like you in that he sounds like literally none of you said he did his own research. He's been doing his own research, just like you stupid you white people that we want to vote for you always say.
And before you jump down my throat, they're actually talking to guys like us. No lectures, no BS.
I like that even this ad has to defend itself from the onslaught of attacks, and they're saying, look, you gotta understand, I've been doing my own research and I stumbled on Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And whoa, before you get all mad at me, they're actually talking to guys like us. Are they? Are they actually doing that? Because they seem to be talking to a bunch of different celebrities, having little mini concerts at each and every one of their events while ignoring the concerns of average everyday people. Again, Kamala Harris, when asked about the economy, when asked how she's going to help people, is now notorious for saying over and over again that she came from a middle-class household.
No lectures, no BS, just real solutions.
I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. She was able to finally save up enough money to buy our first house when I was a teenager. I grew up in a community of hardworking people, construction workers and nurses and teachers. And I try to explain to some people who may not have had the same experience, but a lot of people will relate to this. I grew up in a neighborhood of folks who are very proud of their lawn.
In fact, when she tries to connect with regular, ordinary people from the burbs, she says, wow, they cared so much about their lawns. I'm gonna laugh about it because I'm Kamala Harris. Give me your vote. And she's talking to us. She's not pandering, no BS or anything like that. I mean, she doesn't do any interviews. She barely has any policies at all whatsoever. And she responds to basic questions about the economy with middle class. And then she gives you platitudes. But trust everyone, this is the legit candidate. And Tim Walz, he really knows what's up too.
Just real solutions that protect our freedoms and help us take care of the people who matter.
So yeah, what are those real solutions to protect freedoms and the people that matter? Where are they? Also, I want to point out that they have all these white people sprinkled throughout the course of these ads, but if you look at any of Kamala Harris's actual ads, white men are completely absent, and when they're not absent, they're basically non-straights or there's something else that's off about them. So this super PAC has to run ads with white people in it, and this is what you're getting.
And honestly, I think Harris and Walz are the ones to make that happen. End of the day, you're your own man. It's your call.
So again, you could just hear the gender studies professor that's behind this, where they're like, at the end of the day, it's your own decision, because, you know, white supremacy is about individuality and all that. That's why they throw in the you're your own man thing, as if I needed to be told that. I mean, thank you for sharing that with me. But, you know, at the end of the day, you're your own man. But let's get that music up in here. And, you know, you got to make your own decision. But if anybody gives you any crap about it, wait for it.
But if anyone gives you crap about it, tell them it's none of their damn business.
Yeah, it's your own damn business. Do you guys feel appealed to? Do you guys feel pandered to by this particular ad? Do you think that this is a good use of $10 million? On top of that, can we please open up the books on this organization and find out what group of idiots actually gave them $10 million in order to run this ad? What idiot decided that this guy needed to go on Oprah Winfrey and talk about how Kamala is the second coming of Barack Obama? This is horrible. This is terrible. And this is what they think of you. We had those studies about how Democrats dumbed down their language and changed up the way they spoke entirely when they were in front of minority audiences, while Republicans didn't. But it turns out they think just as little of white people as we do, because this is a dumbed down version of this, because this is meant to target those working class white guys in the Midwest, in states like Pennsylvania, by essentially treating them like they're absolute idiots. I mean, come on. My favorite part about this is that this guy's like, oh, real talk, after I did my own research, I learned that Kamala Harris had real solutions. And that's supposed to trick you if you're a white working class voter, because they believe you're a dumb idiot and you just want to hear people say, do your own research and all these other things that they associate with white people, even though this ad contains absolutely no policy that was gleaned from that research that would prove that they have any real solutions. Again, grocery prices are up like 20% total under the Harris-Biden administration. All these other things like gasoline are up dramatically. Interest rates went up in order to fight their inflation, so it's more expensive to buy a home, and they have not put forward any legitimate solutions for this. In fact, the one thing that Kamala Harris mentions over and over and over again is $25,000 in down payment assistance, which will drive up demand for housing, which will drive up the price of housing even more. They have nothing to offer you, and Kamala Harris can't answer this basic question, which is, if she wants to do all these policies to bring prices down, if she wants to do something about the border, then why didn't she push for that? Why doesn't she push for that as the VP, since Biden is in office right now, her party, and they could move forward on any of those policies? The fact of the matter is, Kamala has nothing except race and gender, and they're trying to push it while also not really pushing it because they're worried that's going to turn off too many people because she's so damn unappealing, and she tried this campaign back in 2020. But all of her surrogates over and over again are trying to appeal on these racial lines, and the fact of the matter is, it's absurd in every possible way. They thought this ad would work. They thought this nailed the white guy out there who's an undecided voter, and honestly, you should show them otherwise by voting in greater numbers against Harris and Walz.
If anyone gives you crap about it, tell them it's none of their damn business.
I legitimately cannot believe this actually exists. Now I understand it because there is a huge gap in terms of gender for Harris and Trump. Trump is down 12 with women. Harris is down 14 with men. Now, to be clear, there are more women and they vote more than men. So that still means that Harris could win the election. But this is a great opportunity to push men even further away from the Democratic Party, because who wants to sign up for this nonsense? But again, those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Does this ad nail the white man, or maybe, just maybe, are they completely out of touch in every possible way? If you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about white dudes for Kamala Harris. Burn air now. Till next time.